5:32. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Board Member Galvin, Board Member Keys,
Here.
Board Member DeZulme,
Here.
Board Member Bieneme,
Yeah.
Chairman Joseph, Boardman DeZulme, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Item for review and action. Go ahead, sir. We're on item number 3.
5:30.
It's now 5:30, 5:32.
5:30.
Have you guys made a roll call?
Yeah,
Yes.
we on
Pledge,
item number 3.
pledge of allegiance?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
You guys wanna go without me? I'm gonna vote today. Huh? Right?
Item for review. Should I proceed? Chairman, should I proceed with the agenda item? Chairman?
That's 6, yeah.
Yeah, it's only one item. Go ahead.
Okay. Agenda item 1, presentation and approval of the FY 16-17 North Miami CRA budget.
So we have a staff presentation, no? Or just the resolution and then,
Okay. A resolution of the chair and board members of the North Miami Community Redevelopment Agency approving the fiscal year 2016-2017 budget, authorizing the CRA Executive Director to transmit the fiscal year 2016-2017 budget to the City of North Miami and Miami-Dade County, authorizing CRA Executive Director to take all action necessary to complete the approval process for the fiscal year 2016-2017 budget with the City of North Miami and Miami-Dade County and providing an effective date.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Rasha Kamo for the record. We are presenting to you our budget for review and approval. It's our year of 2016-2017 budget. As you
I'm
can
sorry,
see,
before is she obligated to read all the whereases? She doesn't have to? Just the title. Okay.
this year, if you see the attachments, Exhibit A, the format has changed. We made sure that we incorporated all the wonderful achievements that we've done this past year. So as you can see on the cover page, you'll see, and throughout the pages, you'll see our achievements as we're moving along. In addition to that, you will see on page 1 our list of accomplishments. I'm very proud to say that the county staff, they are very pleased with our activities. They were very pleased to see all that, the pictures and the narrative that we're providing. Of note, we've provided over $500,000 of rehab and beautification grant to businesses for this fiscal year. Actually, $583,000 were encumbered this year. We had budgeted $600,000. I think it's very impressive, and the county also was very impressed that we're actually helping businesses along the corridor and bringing new businesses. This year, our budget, because we're using a different interlocal, our millage rate has changed, so we're using the 7.5 millage rate, and also we're using the proposed 50% city TIF. As you can see in the revenues, the city TIF contribution for fiscal year 16-17 is $1,071,584. The county contribution would be $1.3 million.
1.398.
1.398.
That's
thank
more like
you.
1.4.
And just to make a comment, again, as you recall, we have to refund them. So what you see here is the revenue that we're booking. However, in the expenditures, I'm going to show you what we're refunding them. In addition, the carryover, because we did not accomplish all the capital projects that we wanted to this past year, we're carrying over those projects moving forward. And the other change that we made in the budget is that we're decreasing the projected interest that we make on the cash that we have in the bank. So for the revenue that you see on page 3, we are projecting a budget of $6,500,559 for revenue. And in the subsequent pages on page 4, you can see the projected expenditures. We're projecting to finalize and implement the Chinatown Arts and Cultural Innovation District Master Plan, which also includes, that slide was supposed to be up. Thank you. I apologize. Okay. As I was saying, we're projecting to finalize the master plan and start working on the infrastructure and streetscape improvements that we're committed to doing, and creating new business attraction incentives for the Chinatown area. We are initiating a capital project in the downtown corridor with the public-private partnership opportunities. We will be, and in the new legislation passed by the Board of County Commissioners, we're required to work on a housing initiative. So we'll be developing and implementing several housing initiatives, housing programs that we'll be working with the city's housing division, and we'll be bringing them back to you for approval. We're implementing the market positioning study, which outlines effective, achievable goals to make the downtown North Miami a place to visit, invest, and live. We will be enhancing the Nomad events, the Mocha Jazz events. We will be creating a business-focused website and have appropriate collateral materials such as walking guides and other signage to tell people that North Miami is the place to be in. We will be continuing to provide beautification and rehab grants, and we're going to create additional grant guidelines to be more specific for certain corridors and certain enhancements. We are actually going to invest over $3 million in capital projects in support of the new CRA plan. Over 50% of our budget has been earmarked for capital projects. And lastly, we are going to commission a design master plan for the train station area, the West Dixie Highway, and Northeast 6th Avenue. This was already approved in your budget last year, but we hadn't gotten to it, so we need to get it done this year. In the following pages, you'll see the administrative expenses. They're detailed, and the operating expenses. We have the executive director, myself, and we will have to have a half-time housing programs coordinator as the housing program comes through fruition for you to approve, and a programs coordinator. Most of these expenses are listed in the county legislation as the requirements that we need to do moving forward. We're also, as I had mentioned earlier, we have to refund the county $948,888 for the west side portion.
And why is that, if I may ask?
It is part of
The agreement?
This is goes back to the, if you don't mind, through the chair. This goes back to the original interlocal agreement with the county. We have probably one of the largest geographical areas of any CRA in the state. So as part of the original deal negotiated with the county, the CRA agreed to refund the county all the TIF derived from the areas west of Biscayne Boulevard.
Now that we are going into a new agreement, intergovernmental agreement, interlocal agreement, can we negotiate a better deal?
I'll defer to the executive director
Yes.
on that.
Through the chair, yes, we can. In fact, the way the resolution, and I was going to mention in my executive director's report, the ordinance approving the CRA's extension of life was approved officially today. So our CRA has officially been extended to July 2044.
Amen.
Part of that
Good job.
legislation requires that we go back and complete negotiations and presentation of the plan amendment and the interlocal for final adoption by both the CRA, our city council, and the Board of County Commissions before December 15th. So we will be back in negotiations with the county starting, actually they asked for a meeting today, but they ended up rescheduling. So yes, the answer is yes.
Mr. Director, go ahead, sir. One quick question I have, and I'll defer to.
Doing the presentation.
No, you can ask.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay,
Oh.
it's just a quick
I can
question.
ask.
Yeah, and now I'll refer you. I'll defer back to Councilman, to Commissioner Bieneme. If we were looking at maybe reducing the area, would that be a good way of perhaps changing, yeah,
If we, so my recommendation is not to change the geographic boundary.
okay,
In order to accomplish that, we would have to really go back and do a complete plan, study the entire new
Okay.
area, redevelop all those reports, make sure there's slum and blights in the newly
In the
defined
remaining
area
area.
and all that stuff. I guess my recommendation to the board is that we negotiate with the county to come up with a better solution. The chairman of the county commission also has some issues with the interlocal and some of the financing plan elements, particularly the cap. He also mentioned the geographic boundary, but I think as we work through the next couple of months, we'll be able to resolve those issues and actually come ahead at the end of the day.
Okay.
So,
Thank you, Councilman.
All right. In the capital projects on page 7, you will see that we're proposing to increase the commercial rehab and beautification grants to $800,000. Last year we had funded $600,000. We've been very successful. We're getting a lot of requests, and we're working, and we're getting also new businesses wanting to move in and looking for grants. So that is the recommendation. The second item is the home rehab program. The legislation that was approved by the county requires us to spend about a minimum of 10% of our TIF money on rehab or any form of affordable housing program. So we've already earmarked it for now for your approval, and we will come to you for the guidelines to be approved, afterwards. The capital projects we had mentioned was a public-private partnership, which include design and possibly purchase of land. The Chinatown Arts and Culture Innovation District, this is for the gateway signage, since our commitment is we need to have a signage done by next fiscal year. And then focusing on all the carryover projects that were funded before, but we haven't completed. As you can see at the bottom, the Sasso Pool facade beautification, the design has been done, but now we're putting it out to bid to do the facade. So those are the improvements that we need to get moving. And the last page, page 8, I did a graph to show you how we spend your money. 5% of it goes on administrative expenses. The 27% of operating expenses, as you recall, $948,000 of that goes to the county, but it's under operating. And then the capital improvement expenses are 68% of the budget. So we're making sure that we stay lean and mean, and we stay focused on the projects that we are committing to doing. And the last 2 pages are the county formatted spreadsheet that explain, what we have and how we intend to spend it. Any questions?
Yes, ma'am. One quick question. This is great, but traditionally, or since you have experience with other CRAs, I like the graph. What's the percentage the county or other CRAs are having as far as capital improvement and operating expenses? Are we around there? We're doing better?
We're doing better.
I kind of
We're
figure.
doing so much better. And again, I don't know if the executive director had mentioned or he was going to mention it, but as we're leaving this morning from the commission, Commissioner Levine Cava commented on the fact that not only have we taken the legislation and we're taking every recommendation has been done, we've already moved ahead. We're operating lean, mean, and we're focused on getting the projects done. And they like the model that we're presenting.
Awesome.
So.
Thank you. Good. Good job.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Zelkowitz, I was just coming in as I heard you make a statement about refunding the county $700,000.
900.
Refunding the county a significant amount of money. Can you please explain that to me in greater detail?
Certainly. Under our initial interlocal agreement, which goes back to 2005, the county negotiated an area with us for our CRA, which is the largest in the state, basically. And as part of the financial deal, we agreed to give back to the county the portion of the TIF derived from the area, the redevelopment area west of Biscayne Boulevard. they originally, when they negotiated the agreement, did not even want to give us that money up front and have it refunded, but I convinced them under the statute they needed to do that, so at least we make interest off the money
You
through the year.
convinced them in 2005?
Yes, when
Okay,
we
I'm just making sure
negotiated the
I'm-
original interlocal. So at least we get the money, we hold it for 12 months and basically then have to refund it. The original interlocal also had the city refunding the TIF from the areas west of Biscayne Boulevard, but the city and the CRA agreed that the CRA could keep the city's TIF from that area. So this was part of the economic deal that was negotiated 11 years ago.
I'm greatly puzzled. Why would we now in 2016 be paying back, what happened in those 11 years?
It's based on the TIF from that year.
Right. Why would,
Okay.
I would have assumed that we would have been paying back any annual debt on an annual basis.
It's not a debt, it's a refunding of a portion of the TIF. So, for example, the redevelopment area encompasses the areas east of Biscayne Boulevard where the Soli Mia project is and some other smaller areas.
Very familiar with the
Right,
the
and then we
boundaries.
have the boundaries to the west. So if the county allowed us to keep their portion from the west side, they felt that they were giving us too much money. And so what they wanted to do and what they negotiated, I think with Mr. Krapp, who was at the county at the time, and Mr. Schnidman, who was your executive director,
Right.
was an interlocal agreement where they pay us the full TIF from the east and the west. And then on the last day of the of the calendar year, we pay them back. We refund them the TIF from the areas west of Biscayne Boulevard.
So does the amount that we're refunding right now, does that represent the cumulative of the last 11 years?
It's
or is that just
no,
this
it's an
last year?
annual amount.
And this is what we've done annually? since that
Correct.
point?
This
Thank
is this is in your budget every year.
Questions now answered, no further line of questioning on that topic. Second question, has the county made any indication of whether or not they expect that they're going to force us to add new members to this body right here?
We're on TV, right? During the discussion, well, the staff, that language is in the draft interlocal that we have. And that is following I guess the ordinance provisions that they passed as a board, that allowance be included in any future CRAs and extensions. In my discussions, however, with the individuals that potentially would make that appointment, as of right now, they have not indicated that they would do so. They would allow us to continue the way we are structured. But the language does not say shall, it says may in the draft interlocal.
So the language would say they may add how many members at whose discretion?
It's one elected official and two citizen members, representatives.
Okay.
Three.
Why are we not embracing that addition?
Well, legally we are embracing it because it's in the draft interlocal. It is there. It is their discretion. And just for, I guess, precedent's sake, the first CRA that had that possibility was Miami Beach, and Commissioner Barrero decided not to make that decision. He felt he was working, I guess, effectively enough with the board and the staff to get those things that need to be done. So I can't say that we're not embracing it. It's in it will be in the legal document that I'll be bringing forward to this board.
Let me restate, Counselor. Since we are embracing it because the language is there, what is their plan? Are they just going to wait to see if we mess this up again and then throw some people in? Or, I mean, at what point may they? And if, let's say, the language is may, and we're going forward, and 2 years from now they decide they're going to do it. The county decide they're going to do it. Do we get any push? Do we get the opportunity to say, well, no, we don't want your people, or is it
As the ultimate
do it?
approver of our interlocal, no. They could do it based on my reading of the language and councils here. They could add it the first day of the interlocal. They can wait till July 12th, 2044 and add it on the last day. It's just the indications that we've gotten, and I think it's precedent amongst all of the CRAs. All of the CRAs are, the board members are, the municipal ones are the council, and I think through their camaraderie and with their fellow elected officials throughout the county, they're like, run your CRA. That's the feel that I get. Again, Commissioner Levine Cava was clear about how we've changed. We operate lean. We are operating at an administrative cost. None of the existing CRAs run.
Yeah, but we already know that.
Right. So,
Right.
and
We're the ones doing it.
you're doing it, and I think the indication that I've got is they are recognizing the fact that we are doing it, and so run your CRA.
It
Yeah.
sounds like they're giving us, by using the word may instead of shall, they're
Right.
giving us a bit of a grace period as long as we or future CRA boards don't mess it up. Because if we do, they're gonna sweep on in and throw some more people up here and.
Well, and again, one of the new provisions of the interlocal is bench milestones they're adding. So they're not just letting us run for 30 years.
Yeah.
They're going to check back in on us in 7 years and
7
say,
years and see.
did you do X, Y, or Z?
So-
And if you haven't done it, CRA is over.
And we got specific benchmark that we
Exactly.
have indicated in the plan, from my understanding, that we must accomplish
proposed,
and
yes.
proposals, that we must reach these proposals successfully within this amount, which is a good thing. So they know, well, I must congratulate you, Rasha, for your leadership, and of course our city manager for kind of taking this, and Mr. Sawyer, I know he's in the back somewhere, for really kind of taking the train and stir it to the right direction. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, before you move forward and make a motion and vote, just to go back to Commissioner Galvin's question, the may versus shall language is not specific just to us. They didn't negotiate that for us. That's in the resolution that the county passed. They just take their language and basically insert it into our interlocal. So
Yeah,
that's
no,
what they have.
Yeah,
for-
I'm just
for-
hearkening back to that grand jury report that came out approximately a year ago, where the grand jury ripped, and the county made it. The county's knee-jerk reaction was, "We're adding people to everybody's CRA." So I didn't think that they were singling us out or trying to scold us in any way. I just knew that that was something the grand jury was recommending at the time, and so I knew to keep my radar up for that particular addition.
But at the same time, the interlocal agreement need to come before us for approval.
The interlocal not only has to come before this board, and it has to come before the city.
Yeah.
So you get two, you can sit in this forum and say, I like it, and sit in the city council and say, I don't like it. So you have
Do
to
we
go
have to
back.
get public hearing in this item, Mr. Attorney?
The budget?
Yeah, no, yeah, this one here.
Excuse
Did
me.
you wish
Put
to
my
be
mic up.
heard, Mr. Chair? Yeah,
I mean,
go ahead.
You can make public comment, but it's not a public hearing.
Nice, that.
Mike McDermott, 840 Northeast 127th Street, CRA Advisory Board. I think it's appropriate, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to acknowledge the tremendous work that Larry Springs, our city attorney, Rasha, Steve Zelkowitz, our CRA attorney, and all the staff, Duke Sori, Terry Henley, and all of those who not only rescued us when we were at that state in which we were really about to, go south, so to speak. I know that Duke and Terry and Rasha were very involved in that. And now with Larry Springs, our city manager, I think the team has really done a magnificent job in bringing us to where we are today. And I just wanted to congratulate them and
Okay.
acknowledge their work.
All right, thank you very much. And, well, I guess I want to say just before we go to the vote, I'm very proud in the fact that over a year ago, when I first got elected, and the CRA was pretty much the laughing stock in Miami-Dade County. And, it was even being threatened of being dissolved, and some folks, down here didn't really even want it. So I, and along with some other council members, we decided that this is not going to happen because the CRA is the engine of the development and economic development in the city. So I'm glad that I pretty much stood my ground, and the other members really bought into it. and we hired the consulting company to redraft the whole CRA plan, and we negotiate with. And I must say, kudos to Councilman Bien-Aimé. You were here during the fight, and along with Scott Galvin and Councilwoman. You know, Mrs. Terrell was here, but she's no longer here, and I put my hat off to you, really for really understanding that the CRA is an essential part of the city's development. I'm glad we did what we did. We only have 3 minutes.
I know. I have to put one more thing on the record, Mr. Chair, if you allow me. Because the interlocal, while we're extended, but the interlocal is not in effect yet, we will not be able to spend any of the new TIF until after that's done. So we can continue on the capital projects that we have existing, but until that official approval is done, we can't spend the TIF that they will potentially deliver to us.
Which is in December, right?
Yes,
Okay.
the new money, but we'll get it done.
All right, so let's go to a vote.
We need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor by Board Member Joseph, seconded by Chairman Joseph, and seconded by Board Member Bien-Aimé. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion to adjourn.
Item passes 5-0.
Motion to adjourn now.
So moved.
Okay, so we have 3 minutes recess.
We have 3 minutes?
3 minutes recess before we convene for the regular budget meeting.